Thanks so much for joining me for this episode of the But First She Failed podcast. I am so excited for today's episode. You may have known or noticed that for the last few weeks, we've been talking about a lot of different various topics, and I'm really excited to start this mini series. We are going to go into talking about what is a God-given purpose. Why is it so important, right? Today's episode specifically, we are going to be talking about the difference between a career, owning your own business, and your God-given calling, and walking in your God-given calling, right? I think so often we talk about these terms interchangeably, but they're actually different things, right? There's nuances, there's differences to it. And so today's episode is going to be geared towards just comparing them and seeing what the difference is. I have strong beliefs and strong convictions that one of them is the best, and you're going to see it in this episode. So I'm really excited to share this with you today. I think it's going to be a really great conversation. I think this is going to be a great resource. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the accountability calls that are taking place later this month. If you are a woman that you have a dream on your heart, or you are starting a new business or maybe you have a new project that you're working on, or going down a different career industry, or just entering a different field, but you feel really strongly that you're supposed to walk in this, you feel like this is your calling, or maybe you feel lost and you don't even know what your calling is, and you just feel like you really want to know it though, this call is for you. Why? Because you're going to be around encouraging women. You're going to be around other like-minded women. You're going to be in community. It's a completely free Zoom call. We are doing it this month completely free. It's just to get to know other women in the community. There's going to be coaching where I'm going to be coaching you there. So every woman's going to get a few minutes to share a little bit about their vision, and then we can all speak life into it. But I am really excited about this call. It is something that if you just don't feel like you have encouraging voices around you, and you are really excited to go into this, and maybe you need that outward accountability, then this call is for you. All you have to do to sign up is to go to the show notes and click on the link there and sign up for the accountability call. You're going to fill out a 2-minute survey. It's super quick, and I'll send you the information and the invite after that. So some of you guys actually signed up already. Thank you so much for all of you that signed up. I sent out the invitation. It may have gone to your spam, so please make sure to check all your folders, and I'll be sending out another invitation soon. And to those that it started filling out, because I know a lot of you started filling it out, but you didn't finish, this is your opportunity. What are you waiting for? I'm so excited to have this call with you, and I'm so excited to meet you in the Zoom. Again, this is a completely free call. If you're interested, don't hesitate. It's going to be happening later this month. Actually, it's going to be happening on Wednesday, the 24th of this month, September 24th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I would love for you to be a part. It's going to be something really special. I truly believe that. Anyways, let's get back to today's episode. We are diving into the difference between a career, owning your own business, and your God-given calling. Let's get into it. I have seen so many times when people they are thriving in their careers and they look so successful on paper, and you think, oh my gosh, they must be so happy. And then I have conversations with them and I realize that they really don't love what they're doing. Yes, they're getting paid. Yes, they've grown in their career. Maybe they have accolades, but they just don't really feel fulfilled in their career, right? I've also seen people that are struggling to make it in careers that maybe they're not supposed to be in. I've seen both, I've seen business owners that are very successful and making a lot of money, but they feel slaves to their business and they don't really love what they are doing. They don't feel fulfilled as well, even though they could be making a lot of money. And I've seen business owners that are striving so hard to keep something alive that maybe isn't for them, right? And then I have also seen women, because this podcast is specifically geared towards women, but I have seen people, but I'll say in this case specifically women, that are walking in their purpose, and man, is it obvious, right? It's beautiful to watch, right? I've seen women that are speakers, preachers, that are business owners, interior designers, accountants, all sorts of things, but they are walking in their God-given talent, right? They are walking in their God-given gifting, but not only that, in their God-given calling. And you can see that there is just like, oh my gosh, everything that they touch thrives. You can tell that they are walking in their calling. They seem powerful. It's like you want to listen to them when they start speaking about whatever topic they are an expert in, because it's beautiful. It inspires us. It inspires me. I've seen so many women like this, and I'm like, wow, you can really tell the difference. And so you're going to see, my hope obviously is that we all walk in our God-given purpose, but let's check in. Let's look at all the differences. Let's look at the nuances between them, right? So let's start off with career, right? Because career is something that I have loved. I love talking about this topic of career so much. So let's talk about the definition of a career, right? My background is I used to work in national news, and I loved it. I loved working in national news. It was a very competitive industry. There was a lot of ups and downs, but man, did I enjoy it, right? I was using a lot of my talent. balance and I really enjoyed it. And then that door closed for me and I started pivoting. And that's when I started realizing that I wanted to own my own business. My husband has his own businesses since he was 24. And I was like, man, I want to start owning my own business. And so I've kind of gone on this journey, if you will, and I want to share all the things that I've learned. So anyways, career, let's go into career first. Career, the definition is a long-term journey of work, growth, advancement within a field or industry, right? That's pretty straightforward, right? So you are growing long-term in a specific industry with work, advancement within, a different field or industry, right? Now, the focus of a career is professional growth, skills, promotions, and stability, right? Most people that are in a 9 to 5, they love that. They love the stability. They love that they are, they love working towards promotions. They love the professional growth. And that's kind of where the focus of being in a career is, right? Ownership, right? Typically, an ownership within the career field is they typically work for an employer and less control over the direction, right? So this is someone I was just having a conversation with a family member and she was mentioning how she does not want to go into entrepreneurship. That's not her. She doesn't like it. She loves being an employee and that's totally okay. She loves her career. She loves doing that. And so, usually you have an employer, they take the heat, they're kind of, you have your work to do and it's a 9 to 5 and that's kind of where, or maybe you're working 60, 90 hours. That also has happened to me before. So, but typically they work for an employer, less control over the direction. Now, the motivation. And the motivation when you're in a career is usually advancement, expertise, financial security, a big one, and recognition. So often, the major thing that I see people when they are going to careers, they just want that financial security. And I hear you. That is so important. So I get it. I get the motivation behind it. I get why people would choose to have a 9 to 5 rather than being an entrepreneur. It makes 100% sense, right? And now the risk. The risk is a moderate risk. Mostly career progression depends on performance and company stability, right? So I've seen this too, where it's like you might be doing amazing, but if the company you work for goes bankrupt or if they have a new boss come in, so often your job could be in danger, right? A lot of times especially if you're in upper management, so often the new head comes in of the company, the new CEO, the new VP, whatever, and they bring in their team. They bring in people that they've worked with that they trust very close, that they've worked closely with in other companies that they trust. And a lot of times there's a lot of changes that happen, right? So, that depends on company stability and the performance, right? So if you don't have the best performance, oftentimes maybe you will be let go or laid off. And so that's where the risk is right there. And then time frame, long-term evolves over years or decades. An example, you could be a marketing manager, a director or a VP of marketing. That is an example of someone that is in a career, that is their title. That's kind of the focus, right? So that is a career. Now, the difference between owning your own business, let's juxtapose it to the definition, right? The definition is the act of creating, owning, running an organization that provides products or services. Again, I know, guys, this sounds kind of silly. It's like, duh, I know what it is to be a business owner and I know what it is to be a career, but hear me out. Listen to the whole episode and then tell me what you get from it, right? I think it's going to be, I think it's really interesting for me, the way that I like to learn is to put everything next to each other and kind of see, okay, what do I want, right? Where does it land? Where's the benefits, where are the risks and all those things, right? So the focus of owning your own business is you are building, you are managing and growing your own venture, financial and operational success, right? So everything is like, you want that. You want to be building, you're kind of wearing all the hats. You're growing your own thing, right? Financial and operational success, right? Now, the ownership, fully responsible. You own the business and the decisions, which is scary for a lot of people. And I get it. It's really scary when you don't have anyone saying, hey, focus on this. Hey, focus, do this thing, do that thing, right? It can be very overwhelming, right? As a business owner, because everything depends on you, right? And so, you're fully responsible and you own the business and the decisions. And motivation, autonomy. I've seen, especially after 2020, a lot of women, a lot of moms started wanting to work from, by the hours that they want, right? So it's autonomy, entrepreneurship, financial gain, creating something of your own. So autonomy, it's like you pick your own hours, you kind of have that flexibility. You want to do your own thing, right? Maybe you realize like the skill set that you have in the corporate world, you can bring it into the marketplace and you can make your own business around it, right? I've seen so many of the women that I've recently interviewed have talked about that, right? And then the time frame is long-term growth, sustainability, and ongoing responsibility. So that's the time frame. And the risk is high risk, right? So success depends on decisions, market, and business management, which it's really scary. Like I said, this is really scary because it's all on you, and it is, there is a high risk when you start your own business of it being successful, of it not being successful, right? And now an example related to the last example could be owner of a marketing agency serving multiple clients. Now you took your skills from the corporate world and now you have your own business, right? And which is great. There's a lot more freedom in that. There's so many benefits. Like I could go on and on. I love encouraging entrepreneurs because of that. But there's so many benefits, right? But there is a high risk, right? And so now let's go into God-given calling. God-given calling, the definition is the unique purpose and mission God has placed on your life, guiding you to use your gifts to serve others and make a meaningful impact. So that's the definition of it. And I think it's pretty straightforward, right? It's something specific that's on your life. It's, guiding you to use your gifting to serve others and make a meaningful impact. Those are kind of like the main things. The focus of walking in your God-given calling is purpose, impact, serving others according to God's plan. So now, as opposed to owning your own business or having a career, this is something where you really want, the focus is more impact and purpose driven, right? It's not about financial gain. It's not about stability. It's not about growth or skills. It's more, the focus is different, right? Really different, right? Because you're focusing on impact and serving others according to God's plan and your purpose. And now ownership. It's guided by God, may or may not involve owning a business or having a traditional career, right? So sometimes people can feel like, I know a woman that she really feels called to stay at home with her kids and like, that's what she does, right? But then I know so many other women that are successful business owners, but they are walking in their God-given purpose and they are thriving, right? So they're business owners and they're thriving. And that's the cool thing about walking in your God-given calling, right? It can literally translate to a career. You can be walking in your purpose in a career, or your calling, or you could be walking in your purpose and calling in by owning your own business, right? So it's the ownership is guided by God, may or may not involve owning your own business or having a traditional career. So it could be all three things, right? And then the motivation is fulfillment, alignment with God's purpose, and making a meaningful difference. So the difference is very different than, you just want to have financial gain, or you just want to create something for your own, or you just want recognition or security or advancement, which is what it is for career and owning your own business. It's the fulfillment is aligning with God's purpose and making a meaningful impact. Now, the risk is, this is a great one. And I thought this was really something that I want to highlight. Look at this. While the risk is moderate with a career and it's high risk when you have your own business, when you are walking in your purpose, the risk is low to moderate risk, right? It relies on faith, obedience, and discernment rather than worldly metrics, which I think is beautiful, right? So of course, there's always risk in everything, but it's not to the same level as when you just go into a career or you just go into a business and it's not really aligned with your calling and your purpose, right? And so I think that that's so important. Another thing is time frame, right? Lifelong often spans multiple roles, industries, and life seasons. So I think this one is also beautiful. The fact that it can go on, it goes on, it changes. I have recently been reading and getting a lot of information from John and Lisa Bevere. They are amazing preachers of the word. They are teachers of the word. He's an author. He has, I think, 17 plus books. He's had books that have had multi-million copies sold, just so many, like millions and millions of copies sold. He's, just incredible. Just they're so knowledgeable. And I've been listening to his stories about like different seasons and how he had a different purpose or different role in each season, but ultimately led to where he's at today, which they, by all means, by all metrics of the world, they are highly, highly successful. They have multiple YouTube channels, multiple podcasts. They have one together, one separate. They speak all over the world. They have their own app that helps leaders around, in different churches. And if you want to download it, it's completely free and has so many resources. And they just have this incredible, vast network. And they're using their God-given purpose in such a beautiful way. And so I love that, but I also love how every season was different, right? So a lifetime often spans different roles, industries, and life seasons. An example is using your talents in marketing to create a ministry, launch a social impact business, or mentor others according to God's purpose, right? And I think that is so meaningful, so important that we, instead of looking for a career, looking for a business, but instead we start looking what is our God-given purpose. The truth is, like I said, I have seen too many things. I have seen women that are extremely successful and you get close to them and then you realize, man, in their careers, and you realize they hate their careers. They don't feel fulfilled. Yeah, they have this coveted role. Yes, but they're not, they don't love it, right? They don't feel called, they don't feel fulfilled, which is, they don't have that deep sense of fulfillment. But then I've seen other women that are and they have amazing careers, that they work corporate jobs, but you can tell they are walking in their purpose. They are thriving. They are impacting so many lives. They're in the corporate space, in the corporate world, and they are just dominating the space. And you can tell that they are walking in their purpose, right? So the beautiful thing about walking in your calling is you can be in a career. You don't have to necessarily be a business owner. You don't necessarily have to be in full-time ministry to be walking in your God-given purpose. You can be in your corporate job and you can be having an incredible impact. You can be a teacher. If that is your God-given calling, you can be the best teacher and you can impact millions of people through being a teacher. You can change the world in beautiful ways, but are you walking in your God-given purpose? The same goes true for business owners. I have seen business owners that are striving to make it. Some of them are very successful, but they're very unfulfilled. They feel like slaves to their companies. I've seen that. I've also seen people that are trying so hard, like I said, to make a business come to life that's not meant for them. It's not meant to be. You can tell that God's hand isn't on that specific business or that specific model or whatever that looks like. I've seen that too. And I see how much they're striving and working so hard for something that's not meant to be. But then in the same token, I've seen people that listen to God. They start a business and the business is so blessed. They're so successful. And the beautiful thing about when you are walking in your God-given purpose, it is not up to you to sustain it, right? If God called you to it, he's going to sustain it. So now things become easy. They start, with the example of a business owner that is walking in their calling, there's so much fruit there. You see that there's things come about organically. There's growth, there's blessing there. They're focusing on the right things at the right time, right? They can pivot. In a lifetime, you can have multiple different roles and they can change, or you can be a business owner of this business in one season and then sell the business eventually and then move on to another business. It's God directing your steps. And that's the difference. That's what makes it low risk. So my goal for you, or my hope for you, is that you would try to discover what is your God-given purpose. What were you put on this planet to do? Because there is so much impact there. What are the benefits of walking in your purpose? I'm going to do a deep dive into this in next week's episode as well, going into like, how do you know if you're walking in your God-given purpose, or how do you not? How do you know if you're not walking in your God-given purpose? I think that is so important. I've experienced that in so many seasons. It's been the cry of my heart to really discover this, and because I want everyone to be walking in their God-given purpose. To me, it's so important. It's the most important thing you can figure out, right? After following God, after giving your life to Jesus, I believe that that's the next most important thing. Figuring out why you were placed on this earth. What is your purpose? Why? There's a purpose on everyone's life, but what is your unique one? Why were you placed here? So I think it's so important, and I hope that you would go on this journey and explore. So I'm excited about this episode. Let me know what you think. As a reminder, some of the key takeaways are: a career is about professional growth within structures. So that is a career. Owning a business is about creating and managing your own venture with freedom and responsibility. And a God-given calling is about purpose and service, which may overlap with a career or business, but is centered on fulfilling God's plans. So it's such a beautiful thing. Again, I've said, when you can see a woman that is walking in her God-given calling, she's confident. She's valuable. People see her as valuable. I have a friend that I was having a conversation with her just recently, and we were talking about that. She has, worked in the corporate space for many, many years, specifically in HR, and she's had different roles. And just recently, she discovered really what her God-given purpose is within the HR space. And now she's in a role that her boss loves her. That gives her flexibility. She's getting paid what she wants. She loves her role. She feels seen. She feels valuable. She is valuable. She's contributing in a powerful, meaningful way to that university that she works for. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see her walking in her calling. It's beautiful to see it because I know that she's walking in and out. It's very evident. And I want that for you. I want it to be so that you are walking in your God-given purpose. And it's so evident to everyone around you that, wow, that girl is walking in her God-given purpose. So if you are interested in this, please let me know. Leave me a note. Let me know if you have specific questions around this topic. I'm going to be making a bunch of different episodes around this specific topic. So let me know. And I want to make sure to incorporate your ideas or answer your questions there. And if you are feeling this way, then definitely sign up for this accountability call, because this is the purpose of these calls. I want everyone to find their purpose. I want everyone to start walking in their purpose and their calling, and I want everyone to thrive in it. So please join us. Take 2 minutes to fill out the survey and join us. Well, that's it for this week. Thanks so much for joining us, and I hope to see you next time.